Good morning again, boys and girls. I'm Charlie Craven, and today I'm going to tie for you this little fly here called Mike Mercer's Missing Link. And this is a fly that I've always really liked, and at the same time I've always hated. And I really like it because it's got such a cool profile. You can see it's got spent wings, a parachute hackle, a hair wing that sort of crosses for a caddis or a mayfly. I kind of set it that kind of off angle. Skinny little body, and at first glance it seems like it's simple enough. The things that I don't like about it is this sucker's a little hard to tie, and it's taken me a long time to figure it out, including my maybe hour worth of refresher course this morning as I sat down to tie 6 or 7 of them here I've got sitting on my desk, and finally got it. I think I actually even improved on what I was doing before. So I'm going to go through and tie this one for you, and hopefully this will help. But cool little fly, and obviously this can cross for a caddis or a mayfly or a spinner or a miller moth or any variety of critter bug, and I like flies like that. You know that about me. So I'm going to tie this on a Tiemco 100 SPBL, which is sort of my dry fly hook of favor. Mike ties it on a black hook, which is totally cool, but most of those hooks are fine wire, and I like this little bit stouter wire on this hook. So I'm going to start off with a size 16, and obviously you could tie these in whatever sizes you want, and for that matter in all sorts of different colors. This one's going to be an olive one, but you could tie it. There's a yellow version, an olive, a caddis version, a yellow Sally version. I said that. Just wanted to reiterate that for you. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start off with some olive done 8/0 thread. And I'm going to start at about maybe like 3 hook eye lengths back from the eye and just get a jam knot on there. And then I'm going to take a piece of pearl crystal flash and I'm going to catch that and tie that in along my near side of the hook. And I'm going to wrap back over the tag end of the thread and the crystal flash all the way back, even down around the bend just a little bit here. And then I'll bring my thread back up. And I'm going to build just a skinny little body. I'm tempted to build a little bit of a thread taper, and I usually do, but I like to keep this fly pretty skinny here on the body end. One of my rules are when fish are being jerks and being real picky, to put on a fly that's harder to see for you. And what that means is a fly that is either darker color, smaller size, or sits lower in the water. And now I've sort of worked into that sparser fly that is tied more sparsely, so even skinnier. So I don't know that you can go too skinny. You probably can, but you can see how thin that body is. Just a slender little thread body. And then I'm going to take my pearl crystal flash and I'm just going to rib it through the body. Let's try that again. With just nice evenly spaced turns. There we go. And I'll tie that off. Now it's not a bad idea on a body like this to put a little head cement over the top of that. You can certainly use solar res. I think head cement's probably a little lighter on dry flies, doesn't weigh the fly down as much. One of the things with UV resin, I see it used in so many places these days, and it's it's fantastic material. I'm not downing in it at all, but packing it in on a dry fly and coating a dry fly body with a big heavy coat of that definitely has an effect on the flotation. So just going to use some head cement there. Now for the spent wing, I'm going to use this is just some dun colored Z-Lon, and you can use crinkle Z-Lon or straight, either one. And I'm going to tie this in here at the front edge, and I'm going to go a couple turns one direction and a couple turns the other direction. And what that'll give me is spent wings. And I usually square my vise up and then just make sure that those are square to the hook. And I don't mind, see how those are just slightly canted back? I don't mind if they're canted back a bit. That's actually going to work to our advantage here in a minute. And then we're going to build a little ball of dubbing. Now what I like to do here, and what one of the little tips I just figured out, is I want to make sure I leave myself plenty of room to do the wing and hackle here in front of these spent wings, the hair wing and hackle. So I'm going to put a little bit of, this is just blue inked olive colored Superfine. And again, you can use whatever dubbing you like here. But when I first started doing this, I was dubbing around the base of the wings and making a big ball right there. And what I ran into is that would cant the wing, the hair wing up at a weird angle. And because of that, it would also cant the hackle up. So instead of getting a nice horizontal plane parachute hackle, I'd have it kind of tilted at an angle like so, which I did not like. So what I'm going to do here, and what I figured out, is I'm going to take those two wings and just sort of twist them together. Hopefully they'll stick there. And then I'm going to use this dubbing to build this ball mostly behind these wings. And this will do a couple of things. That's going to help to separate those wings as they sweep back, but also leave us some room, let me get this out of the way here, some room in front of the wing to tie the hair wing and hackle in. I will finish off with a couple of figure 8 turns, like so, and end with bare thread in front of that ball. I'll bring that bare thread right up to the hook eye and back again to that front edge. But you can see there's, 1.5 to 2 eye lengths, probably 2 eye lengths there worth of bare space. And you can see that's a fairly prominent ball. So I'm going to, again, twist that together. And if you really want to get crafty, you can pull it down below the hook and twist those together again. That just kind of holds those out of the way. And they'll move around as I tie, but we'll work around that. So now for the hackle, any variety of hackle that you have, Grizzly, blue dun, anything like that will work just fine, even brown. I've got a ginger feather, or barred ginger feather sitting here on my desk. That is a really nice color, so I'm going to use it. And you sort of want an oversized feather, a feather that's, at least a appropriate hook size, size 16, if not even a 14 for a size 16 fly. And I'm going to tie that feather in, and you can see I tied it in with the inside up. Okay, we're not going to be posting this to the hair wing. We're going to actually be just start wrapping it. So I want it positioned and tied in the direction that I want it to wrap, which is inside up. And then I'm going to just whip finish with a couple turns that olive thread. And now I'm going to come in with some GSP thread. So this is Superfine Nanosilk, and this is gray. The color doesn't make a huge difference. It's not going to show much. And this is 18/0, so 30 denier, very fine. And I found this makes a huge difference in getting that wing anchored in place tightly without a ton of bulk, which is one of the issues here. So I start that thread right over the top of that, and I'm going to take some bull elk. I'm sorry, this is not bull elk, this is cow elk. And I'm going to stack it up, clean it out, stack it up. I did this ahead of time, so you don't hear me pounding the stacker and wait for me to clean everything out. But I'm going to take a nice little clean bunch of this cow elk, and I'm going to measure it about a shank length long. And that's from the edge of my thumbnail, which you can't see there on the screen. Measure it back to the bend of the hook, then I'll kind of grab everything. I'm going to take my thread and make 2 turns over it and flare that hair, put one more tight turn. You can see I'm really pulling hard on the hair as I hold it in place. That hair's not going to move. You can see as I tug on it, there's no more flare. So now I can sweep these butt ends up and then also sweep the tip ends up. And you can see I just slid my hand back to hold the spent wings back out of the way. And I find it helps to sort of stand this all up like so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around the base of the wing with just a couple little parachute turns. So I'll just leave that thread hanging on the far side. So you can see we've got those butt ends out the front. We stood that wing up just a bit. And now I'm going to sweep that Z-Lon down one more time, just out of my way. You can, actually here, I'll show you another little trick. If I can find my hackle pliers. You can take, oh, I just spied my hackle pliers. You can take those wings and pull them down and clip them in your hackle pliers, and then clip that into your material spring or just back out of the way to hold those down. You can even just let them hang. That'll hold those wings out of the way while we're about to wrap our hackle. I've bent up one of those tips there, which I'm not too turned on by. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lift up the butt ends of the wing. I'm going to take my parachute hackle, and in my case, tying left-handed, I'm going to go clockwise, and I'm going to go 4 or 5 turns. I like to kind of make this a little heavy on the hackle, and I'm sort of working up the post. Then I'll take that last turn down toward the bottom, like so. I'm going to reach over the vise and pick up my thread, and then come between the hackle and the hook to tie that feather off, just like I would on a normal parachute. And as I come over, I'll drop on the far side of the hook eye. Then I can come in and trim my feather out. And there's typically a little bit of cleanup that you need to do once you're at this point. I can get rid of my hackle pliers there. Got one weird little hair there. There we go. So now my thread's going around the hook again. I'm going to close my fingers under the hook and sweep this hackle up and back. And just make a couple more turns here behind the hook eye. And then I'll come in and whip finish. And what I'll do there is just hold everything back again. This is sort of the old way. We're sort of spoiled by the new way of tying parachutes. That's how you used to have to tie a parachute off before we came up with the easier method that we use these days. So now, excuse me, now I'm going to take all these butt ends, try to get them all in one tight little bundle here, and I'm going to bring my scissors down from the top and trim those short, just into a short little stub on top. And while I've got the fly turned here, I'm going to any my hackle that's facing down, and because you wrap that hackle sort of through itself, it's going to be pretty disheveled. You're not doing it wrong. That's sort of part and parcel to how this fly works out. But anything that's facing too far down, I'll trim out. And then I'm going to trim these spent wings just here at the bend of the hook, and try to keep them fairly square. You can prop that wing up a bit. That's one of the cool things with this fly is it's malleable, and what I mean by that is if you're fishing this fly and you've got it sort of with the upright wing, and maybe you have a fish come up and eat it, and then you throw it at him again, you miss him, and you throw the fly at him again, and he doesn't want to eat it because he recognizes it. One of the cool things with this fly is you can sort of flatten that wing down, change the profile a bit, you can stand it up, you could rag up these spinner wings underneath. You can sort of change the profile of the fly while you're fishing it without changing flies. So you can kind of give them a few different looks. So now what I'll do here is I'm going to come in and put just a little shot of head cement there along that thread base. The big takeaway I had this morning tying this is to make sure I left a little space there between the spent wings and the hook eye so that I had room to not jam that hackle right up against the base of that dubbing ball. And you can see that hackle is sort of angled off. It's got a bit of an angle to it. And that's all part and parcel to this fly. But kind of a cool little fly, isn't it? Just generic, buggy, bits and pieces of a bunch of different bugs. Pretty cool little bug. No surprise that it comes from Mike Mercer. He's got lots of cool stuff. Great tire. So that's my first fly of the day. On video anyway. It's my 7th or 8th since I was warming up, but I'm happy with that. Kind of a ratty little missing link, but cool little fly. I think you should tie some up. Click like and subscribe, and maybe send a letter to your cousin and tell him about our YouTube page and our fly tying videos. Maybe he'll talk to you at Thanksgiving this year. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good morning. Thanks for watching. I'm Charlie Craven. Take care.